Hello and welcome to a new episode of First Days with Johanna. This is the first day of 2022, and I've seen so many jokes that 2022 is just going to be 2020 number 2. But I really hope that we all stay safe during these times and that we can have an exceptionally fabulous year this year, and we actually can do some of the stuff that we used to do before. Even though these 2 years have been a whirlwind in learning all of the different things and so much technology that haven't been learned before. I mean, I can for sure testify for that since I've started online knitting classes. Now, we're here in my studio, or SKeW Yarn's studio. This is the place where I do my videos for my online training. This is the place where I dye the yarn, and yeah, this is my studio. I'm Johanna and I'm your host for this show, and I think that was it. If you want to learn more about SKeW or about the online classes, then please take a look on Instagram. I will say that is the best place to find me, and the name is right down here. And you can also find me on Facebook, and we have a Facebook group that is called SKeW Knitting Academy, where you are most welcome to join if you will like some more knitting tips from time to time. Okay, what's on the agenda for SKeW Knitting? Well, or SKeW Yarns. I'm putting up a livenar on the 31st of January, and a second one, or the same one again, on a different time on the 2nd of February. And that livenar will be all about sizes and how to fit things and how to work with ease and all the good things about that. So signups will be coming soon, but I wanted to give you a first little hint about what's going on and where you will find a good place to learn more about that. And yeah, let's get started. Today I'm wearing a sweater knit out of our SKeW number 3 yarn. This is the Navelli sweater out. Oh, I forgot the designer. I will link it down below so you can find it. I think it's a Tria Maori, but I'm not sure, so I don't want to say it. It's the Navelli sweater. It has a boat neckline, some ribbing on top, one color all the way down to the waist, where there is some pretty color work, and then it's a cropped sweater, and perfect wearing indoors at the moment. We had some snow over Christmas and not New Year's, because then when it was really foggy and you couldn't see anything. Now we're back to like 2-3 degrees plus, but the forecast said it will be more snow at the end of the week, so we will see what happens. It's gray and muddy and yeah, typical Swedish or south of Sweden winter. So that's the way it is. And I propped up with some extra light, and I hope that you will still get some good a good viewing pleasure. What do you say? Yeah, from watching this video. Shall we get started on what I've actually been knitting on this week? I don't know where to start. We start with the same sock because it will be socks. I'm sorry. I've been working on the sock, and I've actually made it onto the heel, and I'm knitting the heel flap at the moment. I don't know how good that shows up, but it's a small heel flap going on here. I'm using the strong heel, so I've done some increases and I'm working on my flap now. So then I will move down onto the foot and the toe eventually. This yarn is so pretty. It's from the Wool Kitchen yarn, or the Wool Kitchen, in her Cosmic Girl colorway, and I just love it. It's so happy with all the colors, and it gathered a bit here over the instep, but I mean, it's so pretty. I get happy every time I get to this small rainbow part and just explodes from colors. And yeah. And I'm working this sock on a 9-inch circumference needle. I will say it's a little bit fiddly. I will, it's good to change things up, but I will go back to my magic loop for sure. Or after I knitted the second sock, because this is the first one still. Haven't put that much time in it, but I still managed to do the instep and the heel flap. So I will continue on with that one and cast on the second one. I shouldn't promise too much, but I hope that I get that sock done this week, so we can get a hoe for next week, but we will see. On to the next. What have I been working on more? Well, you remember this one, my husband's sock, where I haven't had any more yarn for casting on the second one. Guess what? The yarn came, and I did cast on the second one. So here's a small toe and the beginning of the foot for him. I know it's the same yarn, I know it's the same colorway, and I know that things can happen between dye lots and stuff, but I'm a little bit disappointed because the colors look almost washed out, as if they have tried to save up on colors, or I don't know what happened, but they're not as pretty and colorful in this hank as they were before. I think you can see it here from the hanks. This is the one that I used before, and this is the new one. This one was a 50-gram hank, and this one is 100-gram. I couldn't find any more 50 grams, so I had to do it. But you can see here is some pretty vibrant blue spots, and here is nothing like that. So a little bit disappointed. I still need to knit his second sock, because that is a lot of work that goes into his sock, because he have a big foot, or 2 big feet, not one. That's why I need to make the second one. So I'm working along this one. It's also a pain in the butt to knit a black toe when it's that gray outside as it's have been. So I'm so happy that I've done with all the increases and working on some colors now. Then it's just the top ribbing that is also black, but that is a little bit easier to make. Yeah, so that will be a lot of stockinette put into this sock before I even can start the increases for the heel. And this heel is a modified Flegel heel, because he have more stitches put into the instep, and that means that I need to do some modifications to make it work. But it does fit him, and he's happy with it. So that means that I need to do some more netting. That was 2 projects down. I worked on 2 more, but if you recall last episode, I was hoping that I could get my New Year's Eve cast on with the Estonian sock. Yeah, I cast on for the swatch on New Year's Eve. Does that count? I hope so, because the swatch is moving along pretty slow, and this is even, I mean, I'm so proud of the swatch, I must say, because I think it looks terrific. I love how the lace edge works, and I love the color work. But this is on 1.75 millimeters. In US, that is size 00. So it even making one round takes a lot of time. And I have only cast on 48 stitches, I think, just to see how the pattern works up and how the lace works up, and to have something to measure from. So I guess this will take some time before I get done and before I can have 2 socks from it. But I've done the lace edging. I've done this colorwork row, or this color row, and the first stripe of colorwork in this dark brownish red. And now I will move on to some, I think I will go with orange and then green in my stripes of colorwork. And then finish off with this yellow line before going back to white again. So that is how it goes. But I still count it as a small win because I didn't really have the time to knit the swatch before New Year's Eve, and I wanted to finish something before I cast on this, and I bound off New Year's Eve as well. So yeah, sometimes it takes more time than you think. This swatch is knitted with Rauma 2-ply gammelserie, and the same yarn rebranded as a Hea yarn. And this yarn, Hea, you can buy from Sara. You'll find a link to the website down below. And if you're interested in Estonian socks, or historical socks, I must say, because even if this is collected in Estonia, I still can see some resemblance to the Swedish folk costume. So if you're into like that kind of vibe for socks or for colorwork or anything, go check out their fabulous books on the subject. And I'm looking forward to their mitten book. It will come out this year, so I will for sure pick up that one too, because oh my god, they have some serious pretty mittens, or beautiful mittens, and detail worked and everything. But I used the yarn that was historically used when knitting socks, and it's a pure wool yarn. And they say it's a little bit harder twisted than your normal 2-ply yarn, and I hope for the best, and we will see how it wears. I have knitted socks in this yarn before. As you can see, the colors are the same, this muddy, dark red, orange, brownish, and the yellow. And they keep still, so I have a good faith in them. They also have a lot of dog hair on them, so I'm sorry. Yeah, that's all of my active works right now, or the ones that I worked on this week. We know that there are more. Even how many times I still try to tell my husband that I only have like 3 or 4 projects going. He just points at my baskets and say, what? And I go, oh my god, that one too. Yeah. So, but still, I try to convince myself, I think. This week, I also have a finished object. I hinted about this a little bit before. I bound off on New Year's Eve, so this was officially my last finished work for 2021. And it was a pair of socks for my son with a shorter heel and some stripes. This was knit out of a sock blank, so I haven't washed them still. So you can maybe see that the stitches are a little bit wobbly, but that will be all good after a quick wash. He wanted this red on more parts of the sock, but this red is a Malabrigo sock, and it doesn't contain any nylon. And I am not sure that it will keep for knitting socks without nylon. So we managed to find the solution where he gets stripes on the leg instead, and the plain, or the rest of the sock from this sock blank that he have chosen before. So they are a pair. I tried it on when they were here, so I know the heel fits and the foot is a good length for him. And I added the leg when and then he haven't gotten to try them on yet, so we will see when after a good wash and he can try them on. Yeah, finished pair of socks, and I feel quite good about them. So I know for sure he asked for socks before Christmas, and I was just, oh, I don't have the time to knit them before Christmas because it was like 2 days before. So now it will be like this New Year's gift instead, and he will get to wear them. But it feels good when your 8-year-old, soon to be 9-year-old son asks for hand knit socks because he likes them too much. And he only had like 2 pairs, so now he can add 1 more and have 3 pairs of socks going on. And he uses them just like I use them, as regular socks in my shoes. I don't have them as cover-ups or anything, or as a second sock. I use the knitted socks. That was it. I'm sorry. I keep looking for more things to show you and to tell you about, but I don't know what to do. As usual, my mind is spinning on new cast-ons, and I'm planning on showing you an Estonian shawl soon. I am slowly working my way to getting the pattern together and making all calculations fit, and then I will be working my way onto a swatch, and then I will be ready to share some progress with you. I have this I know there are more books in Saga that are working around the Estonian shawl. In my shop, I have these 2 books, the Asa Salid and the Siriretik. And the Salid is the rectangular scarf, and the Siriretik, that is the triangular shawls worked from the bottom up without seaming, because seaming is a big thing in Estonian shawls otherwise, because you sew on the lace edge. It can be fiddly, it's hard to see, and you need to do the calculations absolutely right to get it perfect. But it's also one of the things that I absolutely love about an Estonian shawl. But the one I'm designing at the moment, it's a triangular one from the bottom up with no seaming. Or, yeah, you need to graft 4 stitches together at the end, but 4 stitches compared to all of the lace edge, that is a piece of cake. So I'm planning to work through this, and that will be my big project this spring, as well as having some online courses that you can join in if you want to, and continue to put up shows for you to watch. I think that was it for this time. No, we've forgotten one thing. I promised you to show you how I mend my socks. And for sure, I've been mending socks. That's why I don't have that much knitting projects I have, not process though. So in order to make you happy with how I mend my socks, here is a short clip of that. When you wear your sock, they will get worn somehow, and this is a serious case of my husband's worn socks. They are almost wholly. I will see if I can show you a little bit more here. You can absolutely see through here. And what I try to do is actually to grab hold of them when they are not totally worn through, so that there is a hole, because there are small threads still holding together here. And my best way of mending a sock is to duplicate stitch across the parts that have the most wear. And the reason I do this is because when you do a woven patch on a sock, that woven piece, it won't get the same stretch as a knitted part does. But duplicate stitching still gives a little bit more stretch to the fabric, maybe not as much as from the beginning because there are double threads and a bit more stable on it. But the downside of duplicate stitching is that it takes a lot of time because you need to go through each and every stitch. What I do is that I go through the stitch like this, and then I take it down to the bottom again, and I go through, and I do this time after time after time to get the whole patch repaired. And it's been a lot of mending socks over the years, and I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden it feels like this is the only thing that I do. I mend socks. I have no time to knit any new ones. Yeah, I do have time, but this is taking too much time, just sitting here and mending socks. I know that this piece will keep like iron when done correctly, and just this wearing or my I don't know how to say this, but this frustration that I feel when I need to spend this much time on mending socks, that is the reason why I start to knit from measurements instead of using the patterns. I guess I have some more socks to mend before we can have all measurement socks, but we're slowly getting there, one pair of socks at a time. So this is the best way I find to mend socks, is to duplicate stitch through the worn areas, because that will still give you some stretch in the fabric, and that is what you want. Because if you do a woven patch over this, then what essentially happens is that the rest of the sock gets a lot of more wear and a lot of more stretch put into it, and then it wears thin, rapidly. So then you need to do, then you need to mend even more and fix more patches. That is why I choose to do it the hard way and take a lot of time mending, but when I've done the mending, I know it will keep. Yes, I take my time and duplicate stitch my socks in order to make them keep. Once they're broken before then I fix them up. You can do duplicate stitching over a hole as well, but that is if it's a really small hole and it's only one stitch that bursts, then you can go through and do it. If you have a bigger stitch, it's more complicated, and it's better to resolve to some other things that you can do to fix the hole. I think that was it, right? Now we have sorted through what I've been knitting on. We have sorted through a finished object and some mending of socks. I wish you all happy knitting and a fabulous start of the new year. And we will see each other on next Thursday. Bye!